The San Antonio Spurs are must-see basketball right now. This team is unbelievably fun to watch. And after coming off a loss against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Sunday, the Spurs, they got back on track in a big way as they defeated the Atlanta Hawks in a thrilling overtime victory. As the Spurs, they debuted a new starting lineup with Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan, and Victor Wembanyama. In this game, it was back and forth, man. There was 15 lead changes and 14 ties, and toward the end of the fourth quarter, the Spurs and Hawks traded back-to-back threes until Chris Paul nailed a 4-point play. And with a 2-point lead, the Spurs, they cannot stop DeAndre Hunter's poster dunk on Wemby to tie the game, which forced overtime. However, in overtime, Wemby, he went off as he scored 8 of the Spurs' 13 points in the extra frame as the Spurs prevailed with the 133-126 victory. And Victor Wembanyama had an absolutely spectacular performance of 42 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. The San Antonio Spurs, ladies and gentlemen, are building something special, and their future is insanely bright, and it's about time I talk about them. Do me a solid, guys, drop a like on the video and smash that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 39k subs on this channel before the new year. Help me hit that, and shout out to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. So you look at Wemby, the 7'3" Frenchman, he overwhelmed the Hawks, who had no answers for him at all. And with Wemby totaling 42 points on 13 for 24 shooting to go along with those 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals, and he had 7 made 3-pointers, well, no other player has ever tallied those numbers per StatMuse. Victor Wembanyama is just a freak of nature. We already know he does things that we have never seen before, and this was another prime example of that. This was a very nice win for the Spurs, and you know what? When you look at the Spurs team, guys, they're actually holding very steady almost 2 months into the season, and they're sitting in 11th place in the Western Conference with a 14-13 record. They're right behind the Warriors for that final play-in spot, and they're gonna have a grueling climb to the playoffs. But you look at the NBA play-in tournament, it's definitely doable for the Spurs team. And I actually said in a video this past summer when covering the Spurs in their offseason that I had the Spurs making the play-in. And I know it's really early for that, but you can see that this squad has made tremendous progress, and it's their ongoing progression that can take them over the top and potentially into a play-in spot. And the fight that this team is showing, of course, in the absence of legendary head coach Greg Popovich, who's recovering from a stroke, it's just been awesome to see, man. Like, this team has been clicking, and really everything starts with their centerpiece of Victor Wembanyama. He is undeniably right there when it comes to superstardom, and the second-year center, he's averaging 23.6 points on 47.3% shooting, 33.3% from 3, 10.3 boards, 3.9 dimes, 3.5 blocks, and 1.1 steals per game. He is also the favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year award after finishing just second behind Rudy Gobert last season. I don't think anybody's going to argue against that. I mean, the Spurs, this is a team that right now is sending shockwaves through the NBA, and Victor Wembanyama, I mean, this dude continues to play as well as he has. You got the young guns like Jeremy Sohan, who had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks against the Hawks. Devin Vassell had 23 points and 2 steals. He was sharp. As San Antonio, they have a solid chance now to win back-to-back games as they're going to be taking on the Blazers in their next game. But this is a team that's definitely on the rise. And again, going back to their odds to make the play-in, and more particularly the playoffs, you look at BetUS right now, the San Antonio Spurs have plus 400 value on the money line to make the playoffs. It's not as crazy as you think, guys. If the Spurs get into the play-in, they got a shot at the playoffs. So, you know what? This is definitely worth it if you believe in the Spurs and their value, and you buy stock now on this team. But if you are looking to make any bets this season, check out today's video sponsor, BetUS. You'll get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your second and third deposit up to $2,000 with the code YouTube150. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. So besides Wemby, there's some really good players on this team. I want to talk more about Jeremy Sohan. He was the glue guy for the Spurs once again. He played a team high 42 minutes. He had 20 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, dished out 4 assists. He had 2 blocks. By the way, I love the green hair. And this was all while he was battling through a healing broken thumb. Like, his hustle, his versatility, it's undeniable. It was on full display in that victory over the Hawks, and he's making a huge impact on both ends. He's really scraping the surface of how good he can be, and he's proving that he's more than just a role player in year 3. As you look at Sochan, he's one of the best rebounders in the league, and more specifically on the offensive glass. Like, he has been unbelievable, and I loved what he said after the Spurs pulled out the victory against the Hawks. And when he was asked how this team is so good in clutch games, he said, "We added Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. They're like our little master splinter." That is awesome, man. He just got a nose for the ball, and he just physically creates space. I really like what he's brought to this team. And then Devin Vassell, he didn't just come back to the starting lineup. He came back hot. I mean, he dropped 23 points on 9 for 16 shooting. He was 5 for 7 from 3. He gave the Spurs exactly what they needed on offense, and his sharp shooting, it really helped open the floor up, and it added a spark to the new starting lineup with Paul, Vassell, Barnes, Sochan, and Wembanyama. And really, this was a lineup that clicked on both ends of the court, and if everybody stays healthy, this lineup could be a dangerous one and could very well rack up more key wins for this Spurs team. So you look at the Spurs squad, their future is so bright. Victor Wembanyama just elevates this team. He brings them to new heights, and everything has come together nicely. You got Wembanyama, Vassell, Sochan. You got rookie Stephon Castle. It feels like the Spurs are knocking at the door. They're right there, and if they don't get in this season, like, this is a team that's going to be super competitive, and I really see them making a large leap next season into, like, that next tier. But for this season, like, they can definitely compete and, again, get into that play-in. It is not crazy to think that this Spurs team can't get into the play-in. Right now, the West is super close. Like, the Spurs, again, it's early to look at standings, but you can't help but to look at it when you see the Spurs are just a half game back of the 8th seed, and you go into a playoff spot of a top 6 spot, and the Spurs are only 1 game back of the Nuggets for a top 6 spot. So it might be play-in, it might be playoffs. If this team gets hot, they start racking up some wins, and who knows, man. Like, this is a team that has done a really good job in the early part of the season, in my opinion. Yeah, you might look at it, they're only a game over 500, but they are staying afloat. This is a team that definitely does not feel like a team that's going to bottom out and play for the lottery again. This is a team that feels like they're going to go for it, and really, the veteran pieces that they added, Chris Paul, has been immensely valuable. Even Harrison Barnes. This Spurs team has been fun to watch, and this Spurs team, they are going to be a problem, folks. And this has been a team that has played generally well to begin the season. So we will see how the Spurs continue to play from this point on. But guys, let me know your thoughts when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs. Are you believing the hype? Do you think this team can make some noise as quickly as this season, get in as a play-in playoff team? Drop your comments down below. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.